Hi, and welcome to Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. My name is Eric Stromquist. I'll be your host this week for the week ending August 23rd. I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who's now in the mayor's office in the city of Atlanta, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from DMS Controls in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show, big dog.
Oh, thank you, Eric, and I appreciate that plug. It's not often you get a chance for the mayor's PR media representative introduced us this week. That's really cool.
It was pretty cool. So I got to speak and participate in the Atlanta Better Business Challenge, which we'll talk a little bit later in the show. But essentially, the mayor Kasim Reed challenged the real estate people in downtown city of Atlanta to reduce their energy spend by 20% by the year 2020. So it's a group of movers and shakers, Kenny, and it was really sort of fascinating to meet all these different people. And I got to do one of the presentations. It was the thing we talked about last week, the Japanese thing, where you do 20 slides in 20 seconds. And boy, that kicked my tail. But more on that later. But Kenny, I tell you, I think it's a trend we're seeing. I mean, you and I have talked a good bit about how building owners and real estate people are using their Energy Star rating, their conservation as part of their brand. And I got to see a whole bunch of people at this event that I didn't really know and hadn't connected with before. And they are talking energy, and I think they are big Control Trends fans apparently too. So a lot of them had heard of us before, and the ones that hadn't are fascinated and want to tune in. And that's why when the mayor's chief guy heard that I knew you, that's what he said, Control Trends, do you know Ken Smyers, the man, the myth, the legend? I said, I sure do. So that's where you got the shout out, big dog.
I like that. Hey, Eric, anytime we get a shout out, I'll take one. But I was really impressed with the program. And when we come up to that post, we'd highly recommend everybody watch that video for the content and how Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Chicago were three cities picked by the government, the energy department, to do trials on to see what they could do to reduce energy and to get to start developing models that other cities could share. So he even shares the site that this information now is available. So the lessons learned in Atlanta are now available to any of the city planners, the automation people like us. They can go in there and see if their city's got a viable program going, and if they don't, they can help get kick-started because the Atlanta folks laid it out there for everybody to use. So
yeah, they got a template for sure. And I'll tell you, Kenny, so this is for Jason Briggs, Scott Mensch, Eugene Mazzo, our friends at DG Logics and Active Logics, all the people that do graphic, and it's John Petsy, Sky Foundry, that do data analytics. One of the speakers, Kenny, was showing his data analytics. He was sort of beating the same drum about if you can't understand it, you can't you can't if you can't measure it, you can't fix it. And dude, this is a big time guy. I mean, he came in, and let me tell you something, and this is no offense, I'm not going to mention the company's name, but this is more, I think, a tribute to some of the John Petsys and the Eugene Mazzos and the Jason Briggs in our industry. I tell you what, he was showing the graphs. He goes, yeah, you just can't understand Excel. And he was taking Excel and basically putting them into bar graphs and talking about how great that was in terms of graphics and normalizing data. And I looked at those slides and I'm going, oh my gosh. I mean, if they saw the stuff that we have, they would just go nuts. I mean, it's literally looking at the difference between stick diagrams and works of art. So hats off. One of the takeaways I got is the people in our industry with their graphics and their data analytics are so far ahead of some of these other companies. And this guy, like I said, he was touted, he was chosen to show off his wares, their wares for doing data analytics. So go figure.
Well, I highly agree, Eric. I think that was one those aspects of the new trends coming on. Our data visualization folks, our data analytics folks were probably the fastest guns in the West in response to that need because they came right out of they knew that area of the business very well, and they were able to put the people that they had, the resources together to get a product out there and get it in gear. And I'm sure it's going to get better, but we're seeing more people do it now. So they set the precedent, and we've seen it being added to the Niagara 4 release that you've got to have a good data visualization product. You got to have decent graphics. You got to have more importantly, I think you have to have that analytics, that capability, and kind of discover your anomalies, and also tagging conventions, So,
Right.
yep, I think our industry really kind of got onto the
Yeah,
led the way. Led the way.
Yeah, I think they did, Kenny. And so a couple of vocab words, I got things I had never heard of before. Here's some concepts. One is called the concept of the well building, WELL. And essentially what they're doing is they're monitoring. They have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, all the food in the facility is healthy, right? So they serve all organic food. So that's a concept that's moving from out west here. So I think we'll hear more about that. And then the other one, Kenny, was called conspicuous conservation. There was a guy that did a presentation on well water and using rainwater and capturing it and reusing it, which was fascinating how much money can be saved with that. But he is saying that people are conspicuously conserving, so they're putting these tanks right out front. And, I think it just really gets right back to what we were saying about being an energy conservation company, being an Energy Star, making that visible really enhances your brand.
Well, sure. Just like with Leeds, you had to have a green screen out front of your lobby, or in your, in the main foyers of your building to show everybody that you had awareness, a green awareness, and it's great. I think we're a little bit slow to adopt that idea of rainwater collection and so-called conspicuous conservation, because Europe was way, I remember seeing it all the time. Everybody's garden, for instance, had a bathtub in it. They just always collected, water. Water was a precious commodity. And I think as we become more and more conscientious of what a valuable utility resource water is, we're going to see more and more innovative ways to, use water better.
No, I agreed. And another thing, you'd be really proud of me, Kenny, because another vocab term that we haven't used in a while that Kenny actually coined was a term called light litter. And that was just one of the most brilliant phrases I've heard, Kenny. And light litter, for our listeners who might not remember, is when you're driving down the road in the middle of the day and the lights are on. So obviously they either don't have a photocell or the photocell's not working. But, Kenny at one point in time did some research. I think it's like a $40-50 million a year problem. It's just low-hanging fruit. So I got to talk to the mayor's people about, I asked them if they had heard of light litter, and they looked at me and said, what do you mean light litter? So this is your next great campaign slogan. You're here talking about all the energy you're saving. This is low-hanging fruit. So that's, again, why the guy wanted to shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Ken Smyers, because, they were fascinated by that concept. So I had the opportunity to talk to several people, and hopefully we'll get to make some presentations. I think the AIC Bullet, which I guess is now the Watt Stopper Bullet, our friend Brian Pike, I think that product would be a great solution set for the city of Atlanta. So if you have, and we were also members of the Green Chamber of Commerce in Atlanta, so in your city, I encourage you to reach out, see if there's some sort of better business challenge and buildings challenge in your area, and is there a Green Chamber of Commerce? Recommend joining it.
Agreed. Sounds like a really good event. I tell you, I get a kick out of how you're Atlanta is becoming the fulcrum or the center of so many, emerging projects and emerging trends and whatever. But I'd like to hear it because
because among other things, Fred Gordy lives in Atlanta, right? And speaking of Fred Gordy, how's that as a segue to our first post, Big Dog?
I like it, but what was it going to be? The cyber security valley or whatever. They're going to make Atlanta
Silicon Valley, Cyber Valley.
Yeah, cybersecurity valley. It's a terrible, transition for me because I get so serious when I read this stuff because the Fred Gordy's post was a data center equipment exposed with default manufacturer user and passwords, and this is another showdown cataloging of a particular manufacturer's equipment that's exposed on the internet. And so last week, Fred had done a particular system using the showdown numbers and just how many thousands of exposed sites were on in the United States. So he tried another site. This time it was equipment manufacturer, and these are typically used in data centers where you would not expect to find them exposed. However, as Fred said, to his surprise, he was able to find some. And then again, the United States was a leader of the pack with the most exposed. So, I mean, that shows us we have an industry, a burgeoning industry of cybersecurity, because we got to get to this. You can't really prevent it, but you can treat it, and you can't stop it, but you can prevent some of it, and you can treat it. So that's kind of the way we're going to try this, the health, like responding to disease, but The exposed numbers were significantly less than the previous post, but it was still close to 4,000. The United States was number one with 3,819 of their data center equipments were exposed on Shodan.
Yeah, it's Liebert, right? And the data centers. I mean, there are 27, I think you said there were over 27K still exposed overall, but, you drill down to the data centers, and that's concerning. And, I know you're very tactful, but me, they were Liebert. I mean, it is what it is. But at Liebert, and who was the other one? It was APC. So, again, I don't think Fred's, trying to point fingers at people to make them wrong, but I think, the first step to correcting any problem is being aware of it and admitting you have it, right?
Well, and then also it just shows you another the data and big data has a two-edged sword. One side of it, it provides us the opportunities to do incredibly quick, and very, very targeted analysis of, for diseases and for medicine and for insurance fraud and for whatever. But on the other hand, just big data puts a lot more people to risk their records, their health records, their financial records. We saw what happened in England with what was that site again? And we found out that many of the top-ranking, Parliament officials were involved in that website, as well as
I don't know what website you're talking about, Kenny. Ashley Madison. Have no idea what website you're talking about, Ashley Madison.
But when you see what they have, it says on the image, it shows the IP address, it shows the city, country. It actually has a Google map of the location of the data center that was exposed on the internet. So let's beat that one up a little bit more and move on. Because I'll tell you, like I say, to me, whenever you present a problem, when I was one of the lessons I learned from some of the old timers I worked with in the military was, if anybody can say we got a problem, it's who's got a problem with the solution that people need to listen to. And that's why I like Fred Gordy, because he's not only just citing that we got a problem, he's saying, okay, now read my posts, read my ABCs, read my 1, 2, 3s. These are the things you need to do, and this is a good starting point, because it's right here. It's almost like golf. Your biggest problem is your physical security, your people. And you need your humans to be patched with current ideas and realizations that there's problems out there that, even though they haven't manifested themselves into a disaster yet, they could be lurking, and you need to have a game plan.
Well, absolutely, Kenny. And then again, Fred Gordy, along with Mark Peacock and some others, are putting together a cybersecurity summit specifically for BAS professionals in conjunction with Georgia Tech. That is going to be fantastic. We're helping promote it, and our individual companies are helping sponsor it. So that's going to be again, the dates again are March
21st to the 23rd, 2016.
Yeah, 21st to the 21st through the 23rd. So you can come down and to Cyber Valley, right?
I like it.
Meet Fred Gordy, Mark Peacock, and the guests that are lining up for this. It's going to be, I think, an incredible event to give our people in our industry, the building automation controls professionals, what they need to be safe and keep their systems safe. But it's such a broad field, Kenny. I mean, cybersecurity that you just couldn't do everything in 2 days. But I think it's ambitious, but I think that you're going to come away as a building automation controls professional understanding a lot of what you need, probably all of what you need is the goal to make your system safer.
Well, we're seeing we're seeing the convergence of several trends that we talked about, and not only is it cybersecurity, but you have the insurance business now. The insurance industries, they're not able to deal with this, and pay out large sums of money when people don't take measures to, prevent a cyber attack on a facility or a building or a utility. So what's happening is that they're going to make probably, they're going to take more strident measures to make sure that you have cybersecurity insurance, and you probably have different things, just like UL. You have ISA, IRI, for the insurance ratings, FM, Factory Mutual, you probably have a cybersecurity rating on your facility or your organization. And if you don't have anything, that you've done any measures, and you don't have some kind of certificate of attendance, or nobody you don't have an internal champion that's really promoting that human, the physical side of cybersecurity as well as the software and hardware sides of it, then you're not going to be eligible for insurance. So we're seeing it happen. The wheels are turning, and I'll tell you, it's and that's why we come right to our next post. We segue right to the CABA launches a landmark research on cybersecurity. Is your organization prepared? So, I mean, we're seeing this turn out to be the number one trend in the last 4 weeks running. If we had like a, top 40 music-wise or the bestseller book, for New York Times, this cybersecurity thing has been just beaten to death. But you see cyber security from the different levels and what it means to people. But this is probably on the 30,000-foot level. You have the CABA directors, board of directors, and CABA Connected Home Council have selected CABA's next landmark research study to be done. Is going to be cybersecurity and the connected home. And this issue will look at every organization that has products and services in the IoT for the connected home sector. And they're now actually looking for research sponsors funding the project. They've got like American Family Insurance, Consumer Electronic Association, Custom Electronic Design and Installation Association, Hydro One, Intermatic, which is all timing and lights. You know, they're the big manufacturer of timing devices, time clocks. You have Leviton Manufacturing, big security company, Pella Corporation, Schneider Electric, and Southern California Edison Company. So now you're seeing these people; they're willing to donate significant sums of money because they need to know what's happening. So the final report is expected to be valued at $150,000, and your organization can participate for a minimum of $5,000. Frost & Sullivan has been selected as the research firm to do the steering committee work, and as a bonus, all participants will receive a complimentary copy of the European Connected Consumer Research titled Home of the Future. So we're seeing, again, what's your thoughts, Eric, on cybersecurity? Is it going to be, is it going to end, or is it something that's like a permanent party to our menus?
I think the only way cybersecurity is going to end is if the planet blows up. I think it's going to continue to be an ongoing thing. I think the question is, are we going to be able to get ahead of it? I mean, some of the statistics like Showdown and things that Fred Gordy is sharing with us is very disturbing. And as, shout out to Ron Zimmer from CABA, CABA.org, CABA.org. I mean, they do some great research. And again, as we're fond of saying, nothing's obvious to the uninformed. And I think the first thing you have to admit you have a problem. My name is Eric. I have a cybersecurity problem. And then you have to go through the 12 steps, right? So there's all those things. But I mean, we laugh about it, but it's also it's an important issue. So I think taking those steps is really important. And hey, Kenny, I kind of got the line coming in. We got a couple of special guests that are coming on the show real quick, so I want to bring them on. We'll sort of set it up this way. A lot of our listeners, have been asking, and a lot of people are wondering about Niagara 4. I mean, it's a big improvement. And so I'd like to introduce Rob Allen from 7 Minutes of Controls, along with his sidekick, Mike Bonner. Mike does, among other things, building automation control support for us. So they've been anxiously sort of awaiting to get their hands on Niagara 4. And they actually had a contractor that got selected. So first of all, welcome, guys. It's great to have you here. We appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. It's getting to be a regular routine for me, being on Control Talk now, and heck of a lot of fun. I was able to get my cohort here, Michael Bonner, on this side of the camera, which is always a treat for me.
Awesome. Well, so you guys had one of the local integrators got selected to do a beta site. Rob, tell us a little bit about that.
Pretty exciting. Honeywell reached out to us and a contractor and decided that it would be a great site in Atlanta to roll out in the Niagara 4 beta. And so the contractor gladly accepted the opportunity. And we just finished it up earlier this week. And from what I can tell, it went really great. We're excited for the opportunity. And I know that the customer was just socks blown off with all the new stuff that Niagara brought and the analytics package that's built in. So they're going to actually even work on that a little bit more because there wasn't a whole lot of analytics built into it to begin with. So really great. Again, very fortunate and glad to be thought of for the opportunity.
So Mike, how did it go?
The update went surprisingly smooth. I was very impressed with how easy it went. We had a site with multiple Jaces. Each Jace had spiders on it, and had some bring it up to a supervisor. And we migrated all the stations at the Jace level, and then migrated the supervisor and brought it all in, and we're able to make some changes in the spiders, re-download, no errors. The equipment came right back up. We even had some AX3 plant controllers out there running AX stations in them, and we brought those right in to Niagara 4 Jace with no problems at all. So it was a very smooth upgrade process.
That's cool. I know that the one thing we were worried about a little bit was when there's some wireless communication, because there were several buildings spread out, right? And we were worried about that being an issue, and it turned out, I guess, not to be an issue at all.
Yeah, well, they were doing a wireless LAN network out there. So their Ethernet was, the wireless Ethernet was strong and everything upgraded over the Wi-Fi, so it was good.
Awesome.
Well, Rob and Mike, we look forward to your next update because the migration to Niagara 4 is certainly one of the most, talk about, hot items. Niagara 4 is coming out. We also have a beta site here in Pittsburgh, up in Adam, where we're working with Mike Westerfield from Tritium, and everything went well. The transition, we went through the steps, and there's some schooling there first. So you get to get a nice program where they run a video, and then they run a testing sequence after that where they ask you questions and they grade you right there at that section. If you don't pass it, then you go back and take it over again. But really was successful. It really does work. Some of these larger, more complicated stations might have to pare away some of the graphics at first and just put the core program in there, but we had very little issues at all. We were particularly worried about we had some third-party drivers. We had the CCN. We have a couple coming up with, of course, Lawn and BackNet with the Spiders, and so I can say that everybody was cooperating well, and they were playing nice. To use Mike Westerfield's term, they weren't playing bad, or they were playing very nice. So it's working, and Niagara 4 is coming. So by the end of the year, we'll see that Jace 8000 out there, the Titan, and it's going to be fun to sell it because it's going to be a different business model. You're not going to sell it the way you sold Jace 200s, 300s. Jace 4s back in the old days, and the 5s, and then the 6s and 7s. This is going to be a Jace 8000, and you're going to sell it by devices. You're going to sell it by the number of points you need. So it's going to be a whole different concept, and it will require that bridge training because, again, we're nothing static. We're moving forward to the next dynamic, the next new way to do integration, and Niagara 4 is going to be a great product, very successful, I'm sure.
Good stuff, man. Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, hey, like I said, glad to always be here anytime. We appreciate the opportunity, and we're going to take the opportunity to shameless plug. 7 Minutes in Control with Rob Allen, Michael Bonner, signing off.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
All right, Kenny, what do we have up next, big dog?
Well, next we're going to kind of project. We'll take away some of the more intense concepts, and we'll talk about the world's largest HVAC/R marketplace, and it's headed to Orlando, Florida, January 25th through the 27th, and this is going to be at the Orange County Convention Center, and you know what the AHR show is all about. It's the largest expo that brings the entire HVAC industry together under one roof to see the latest products, technology, learn about innovations and trends, and build relationships, meet thousands of exhibitors from every segment of the industry, and see the most advanced products and technology the world has. So we also know that Ken St. Clair is going to do another collaboration community.
That's going to be great, man. That's going to be great for sure.
We also know that there's a show down there. What's the name of that thing, that Control Trends thing? Do you remember what that was there?
Well, the Control Trends Awards, right? The Sunday night, man.
We are really getting buzzed about that now, Eric, because we've got some great support, and thanks to all the sponsors. But as a reminder to everybody, we have the Control Trends Awards. It's going to be the Sunday prior to that Monday where the AHR show starts. So there's no conflicts in schedules, and we think we're killing two birds with one stone in many regards, where we can offer our sponsors that haven't committed yet. Think about this. You got to take your staff out there, and you want to take your customers out on Sunday night. And instead of having individual, expenses, you come to the Control Trends show, and you can pack together the interesting show, the exciting show. But you can also stay with your customers, and basically, it's a very economic way to entertain your customers and your staff, and not be far from the show. It's all
right. So I got an important question for you, man. What's on the menu, man? I want to know about the food.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be probably the best Control Trends Awards ever because of the location. The pre-awards event that's going to be in the John Lennon Suite, and then the show while you're eating a banquet-served dinner. This is featuring flat iron steak, and also there's going to be the imbibes. We're going to have 3 hours of bar service, and so it's going to be.
So we're not going to be limited to 2 drinks this year.
Where's your ticket, sir? Give me. I'm sorry. You don't have a ticket. You can't get a drink.
Look, I'm getting hungry, man. I'll tell you what. That flat iron steak sounds great. Like I say, you and I visited the site, inked the deal down there, and got to tour the facility. It is going to be so incredible, and there's so much history in that. A lot of rock bands have performed there. It's going to be the place to be, and I think to your point, if you're looking for something to take your customers to, whether you're a sponsor or not, you want to take them to the Control Trends Awards. I mean, it is the glamour event for the superstars of the HVAC and building automation controls industry, and now we're inviting our friends from cybersecurity in as well.
It really is going to be fun, Eric, and we have some interesting, our Hall of Fame events. We have our Young Guns Awards. We've got Ken St. Clair coming back on the stage to help us present those awards. We've got an MC team that's top notch, and we're going to have last year we had some conflicts with schedules, and we understand that, and we try to accommodate everybody to the furthest extent possible and not interfere with HR, because we understand how important their show is, and how they don't want people leaving the floor early, and we don't we see that Sunday night is normally a preparation night, and normally a lot of these manufacturers down there setting up booths, because I've been there many times to do that. And so Sunday night we always went out after we were done doing some of the important menial labor that had to be done to prepare the show, and then we went somewhere and then they come back. So I always think about the costing factors, and imagine that if you could just you put all your guys in the truck or van or get a cab and go out to the Control Trends Award show at the Universal Studio entrance and just not leave and stay there for 3 hours and have a great time and really enjoy a premiere event, because we have the first class production folks that put on live concerts that included Cyndi Lauper. I mean, just recently there was Bruce Springsteen that was down there. So we saw that equipment and we see the people that are working down there. So we know we got a first class venue, and this is going to be, and we tried to make this as, the biggest bang for the buck. So our sponsors will be able to take advantage of that fully and still come away with some incredible experiences, because the John Lennon Suite 71, I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame probably 4 or 5 times, and one time the Beatles were up there and John Lennon was up there at the top floors where they have the individual artists or group of artists on display. And I'll tell you what, that museum quality of that Suite 71 is to the same caliber of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum. So it's something to see.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, Kenny. Going to be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it. And again, thanks to our platinum sponsors. You can see them on the controltrends.org site. We'll be talking more about them as we go on. And Kenny, we're not too far away from the nomination period. I think that'll be going on in September. So be thinking about who you want for the different categories. And the way the process works, we'll have a nomination period where we'll have some people already on the nomination ballot that have been in there before, but there's a write-in area for you. So if you don't see who you like on there, you write it right in. And we had several people that made the ballot because enough people wrote them in that they got onto the ballot. And then after that, we'll have the top 5 or 6 out of each one of those categories are going to be our finalists, and the finalists will then have the opportunity to submit videos or do interviews with Kenny and me to talk about their people, products, and companies. And then we'll have the voting, and then the big event happens in January.
It's going to be another really exciting show, Eric.
Right. What do we have next, Kenny Smiles?
Well, you're doing these segues for me, so you make it real nice and easy, and I appreciate that. Neptronics announces next generation VAV and fan control controllers are here. Neptronic is a leading manufacturer of HVAC products and solutions since 1976, and they are proud to announce that they got game-changing next generation VAV and fan coil controllers, and huge hardware, software, and network improvements have been made to provide better precision, more application versatility, and the upgrades to BACnet version 14, V14. Also, I know that some of the things that we saw that these are going to be good is that they have a different style of the selection on the room sensor. It used to be you had to go scroll through the whole 1 through 54. If you want to get to 38, you had to start at 1 and just scroll down, which isn't a big deal. But now you can go to a dual menu selection where it's either BACnet or Modbus. Now you go right down to the if you want 14, you hit 1.4. Takes to 14. So we recommend you visit Neptronics' website today, and also don't forget Neptronics has a lot of history out there. They had the patents on the direct coupled ball valve. They had the patents on the electronic failsafe for the potentiometers. The capacitors. So we're looking at this new technology is probably really, really, really good. So if you haven't looked at Neptronics, take a look at them for your next VAV or fan coil project.
Kenny, I really like their products, but I like their people a lot too. Luis Magueras, and I tell you what, I'll always remember the trip me, you, and your brother David took to visit the facility up there. Very impressive. Talk about young guns. They had a lot of young guns up there. But talk about just great host in a beautiful city, huh? Luis and the team took us out. It's a beautiful city. Very impressive. I'll never forget those 24K thermostats that they were selling up there. So, good company. Be sure to check them out, and I'm sure you'll see Luis down at the Control Trends Awards as well. He won last year, and a very handsome guy. He has a haircut like mine, and not many of us can pull that off.
Alrighty, so the next post is another contender for one of the categories, the thermostat of the year, and that's the Echo B3. And the title of the post is "Hey Siri, meet Echo B3." The HomeKit enabled Echo B3, and this is a great video because you want to talk about technology on the cutting edge. Echo B was always up with the first in fact, Mr. Stuart Lombard mentioned to us that maybe Nest was not the first one to come up with that smart thermostat, that maybe Ecobee had done many of those features, and they continued to make improvements and make alliances. That collaboration thing in that ecosystem is a perfect example. So now you can control your Ecobee 3 by using Siri on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. It requires iOS 8.1 or later. But now your iPhone, universal remote control that controls your entire home or anything that's on that HomeKit enabled network. So the video ends by showing the mother and the son and ready for bed. Mom says, "Okay, Siri, it's nighttime." And Siri,
she says lights out, doesn't she? Something like that.
I said,
bedtime. It's bedtime.
Bedtime.
Yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden the front door locks.
Yeah.
All the lights go out on the first floor. The occupied set point goes from 72 to 68. I mean, that is really cool. I mean, think about that. And it's happened probably in the last 7-8 years where we're seeing this technology so rapidly put into a complete application, a growing application. So, and then we could see, going back to Tree Sullivan, I still get that idea now, or I still get the gist of what contextualization is all about.
Yep.
And having all this technology in a enabled wireless environment, you could do anything. The sky's the limit, as long as you have the same protocol. But who will prevail in the protocol? Will it be Zigbee? Will it be an Ocean? Will it be Apple, iOS? Will it be
Protocol wars, baby. Protocol wars, right?
Samsung's got a heck of also a protocol, but nobody wants to play nice. Using that term we mentioned earlier, because they don't play nice. It's one or the other.
Yeah, so a couple of things, Kenny. First of all, Mystery Sullivan, be sure to check her out, buildingcontext.me. She does some really clever stuff. We should get her back on the show. We hadn't talked to her in a while. I know she listens, so hi, Therese. Appreciate you. The second thing that this really makes me think about, Kenny, is the competition for commercial thermostat of the year at the 2015 Control Trends Awards. Boy, do we have a lot of players. Everybody from, Ecobee with this new edition, to Nest, to the Honeywell Red Link, to InTouch. I mean, there's so many great choices. Viconics. So it's going to be quite a competition there.
There sure is, and like I say, Eric, the people that will be on the ballot are the ones that are able to energize and mobilize their network of people, their supporters, their users, their organizations. Because and we just named a couple of them, but the Viconics, that SE8000, and some of the stuff that Viconics has come out with, it's just a smooth operating thermostat. They don't call it a thermostat per se. So I mean, we have to be careful because they now people are trying to distinguish themselves from a thermostat by calling themselves a zone controller. Zone controller thermostat. And you've got don't forget about the RDY 2000. The Ready.
Oh yeah, Siemens has got a kicking one. Yeah.
Yeah, the ReadyStat 2000. It's like a commercial. Got everything right here.
You came up with a great name for that thermostat, man. Which is it is. First of all, it's unhackable right now, so it's completely safe. And that's probably because they haven't put the backnet module in yet. But that thing has got so much flexibility. It's a great stat, and you came up with a great name for it. What do you like to call that stat?
Well, I saw the letters RDY as an abbreviation for ready.
Yeah.
So yeah. I see the ReadyStat. You have like the smart stat, you have the Unistat, you have different people have used some kind of a prefix for in front of stat, and there's UltraStat. There's you and I thought it would be a good name would be UberStat,
yeah.
because of the the different Uber being so popular out there, and that's such a recognizable name, but probably trouble there. So, but the ReadyStat 2000, because you got RDY 2000. To me, that means you have a thermostat that's ready for any application, anywhere, anytime. So if you're putting that in your truck, and you're not dealing with a backnet application, you're just dealing with commercial thermostats. Boom, that'll handle probably 99% of any thermostat requirement you have.
Yeah, without adding any additional modules to it, just right there in the one package. So the one we'll use a vocab word, the one form factor. So.
Oh. Okay.
All right, big dog. What do we have next?
Well, we got your post up there. We have the handsome Eric Stromquist with the gentleman from the mayor's office, Kazim Reed, and they gave updates. You had done a great interview with him on the updates that owners are making towards reducing their energy spending by 20%, and that is a very aggressive, challenging ambition, and but these guys really know what they're doing. This guy was very articulate on the programs and how this isn't guesswork anymore. They now have documentation that they put together as case studies that show when you're willing to go and make the investment, there are rewards. There is no more guesswork. And I give you a lot of credit because you had a very scary speaking format called Ketchakucha. What is that? Tell us about that again one more time.
Oh, dude, man, that's 20 slides in 20 seconds, and I tell you what, that was intimidating as the dickens. So, but it was cool. It was really cool, and it's interesting, Kenny, because not only are they asking the buildings to join the Atlanta Better Buildings Challenge, now they're even talking about passing some sort of an ordinance or something. You have to make your energy savings data available. So, but Kazim Reed, the mayor in Atlanta, is he's way on board with this. It was really cool. Now I do have some bad news because I did meet the mayor and his staffer said, well, why would he want to meet you? I said, because I know Ken Smyers, and she whispered Ken Smyers, and he kind of looked a little confused. But his deputy of communication, now he was all over you, big dog. So
well, I misspoke. I said that Kazim Reed was the spokesman, but you corrected me. So that's Atlanta's mayor is Kazim Reed, and the spokesman.
No, Kazim Reed, man. You're not going to play this town again if you don't get his name right, dude.
I'm sorry.
Kazim Reed, yep.
Well, how about Aaron Bastian? I got that right?
Yeah, you got him. Yeah, Aaron. Aaron's a really cool guy. So, got to interview him, got to meet a whole bunch of other people there. And like I said, this was, I'm sort of debating whether to put up, when they did video my speech, so I'm sort of debating whether to put that up on Control Trends or not.
Oh, come
so
on.
If you'd be interested in seeing that.
I never saw you be bashful.
You get to see me sweat, man, I tell you what. So it was funny as hell because, man, they just, so you know how PowerPoint is anyway. So basically you get up there, they introduce you, they hand you the microphone, they hit go, and the slides just start going, right? So if you get out of sequence, you're out of sequence. So they were doing a lot of talking in the background because the way they had it set up, they had the vendor showcase in the bar right there by the stage. So everybody's standing behind the podium. So I grabbed hold of the microphone because I saw the speakers, and I want to put the speaker in front, the microphone in front of the speaker to get some feedback. Everybody shut the heck up. But it didn't stretch that far, so I hopped out in front of the podium. They looked at me like I was crazy. I probably was crazy, but it was a good experience. I don't like that format very much, but especially for a guy like me. But I think everybody kind of struggled with it. It was tough. It was really tough.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to it. By all means. And I know that you did some shameless promoting, but that's okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, hey, listen. You're an event like that. I said earlier in the show, I was hitting the mayor and the guy that runs MARTA. He was there. I talked to him. I said, because they were talking about how much energy they save. And so the MARTA, when you were down in Atlanta, that's the public transportation system. So the MARTA guy was giving a speech about how they had a MARTA about how much energy they were saving. And so anyway, I walked up to him and said, I'm afraid I'm going to have to write you a citation. He goes, what are you talking about? So you're guilty of light litter.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he very quickly passed me off to his assistant, and she said she pays all my fines, so we'll see.
All righty. Well, okay. Changing gears here. We're going to now talk about the something that's very important and near and dear to Control Trends, and I think it was probably one of the real driving motivators was the historical content inside of our industry and who's cataloging it. And we see fabulous job by Ken St. Clair in Automated Buildings, how he's written so many articles and kept them in such great order that now we had Tree Sullivan went there and put that in a digital format, and we're seeing segments of history starting to come together, splices, and we're helping to make that happen in our own way. And our one of our greatest goals and ambitions is the Control Trends Museum, and it's kind of established, but we realized that it's a whole dimension higher and more complicated than we had initially anticipated. But we haven't lost any ground. We just kind of gone into a kind of a more cautious approach. So, but I came across a couple of things that I thought were very important. One was KMC Controls, a history of great success built with great people and great products. And they had a video that it's about 7.5 minutes long, but it was one of the most compelling, stories about somebody who started out, in a very remarkably humble position, hard-working type of person, an engineer by trade, has a visit to Barbara Coleman's as a young guy, and then becomes an electrical engineer. And so it's a story about KMCs. It's an almost mythical American success story that starts with a summer job at Barbara Coleman in Rockford, Illinois, where Ken Kruder was introduced to the world of HVAC and controls. Ken's pioneer efforts were soon augmented by a remarkable family cast of industrious and harmonious visionaries that would sustain KMC's growth and important contributions in the HVAC industry for 50 years. I mean, to where they are at right now, where KMC stands as one of the most advanced and innovative companies in the world when it comes to manufacturing building automation controls. And I think their website, if you go to it, www.kmccontrols.com, it tells it right there on the opening page where they've got a system that's, open, easy, secure, and scalable. But what I really, really like about KMC now is that just like we were talking about making yourself renewed, going through, it's not a static environment. You got to keep constantly evolving and shifting to the, where things aren't working. You got to find ways that are working. You got to constantly add value. I think KMC has done that over, since I think it was 1969 was when they actually formalized KMC, Kruder Manufacturing Company. It was founded in 1969. So, but now, if you look at their site, it's probably one of the most modern, hippest sites, and they give away a lot of information, and they also show a command of the new technologies. I saw the KMC was out there, and they're out there in the Intel Development Forum 2015. So whatever's coming out in this new IoT challenges, KMC's been deeply immersed in that and converting that new technologies into their control lines that now they're using near field technology, and you can tell us about that, where you don't have to take things out of the box now. They're able to program, so it just speeds things up. So I just really get a thrill out of knowing that all these things have a great story, a great beginning,
Well, they really do, Kenny. And KMC is one of the platinum sponsors again for the 2015 Control Trends Awards, and we do a lot with this third generation, Eric Kruder, very, very bright young engineer. He was a young gun last year. And so, it's great to see those successes going to the third and fourth generation. So, definitely it's a very good video, Kenny. I think it speaks well for who the people at KMC are, their values, their products, I think, speak for themselves. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely. But just for their latest news section, if you look at what they're doing and why it's important to me, because if we know that we've got major representation and capability in these new technologies, then maybe we won't get bounced over. Remember how we always talked about how we've got Dell out there, Intel, Microsoft, all these other really, really big players, Google, and if they come into our industry, it'd be kind of it'd be David against Goliath, because we don't have the scales that they have. But KMC, for instance, 5/28/15, KMC representative attend Dell's annual analyst conference. 6/11/15, KMC Commander awarded Best Intelligent Building Technology Innovation at Realcomm IBCOM. 6/11, they also have they win a second award for their training module. And again, August 18th, they're participating with Intel Developer Forum. So to me, that means they got their hands in the latest technologies, so that they're keeping the control world, let's just say, keeping abreast of the changes, so that nobody's going to sneak up on them.
Yeah, they're in the game for sure. For sure. So, and again, thank you so much for their sponsorship, and more from KMC as well as the rest of the different vendors in the controls industry. Kenny Smyers, anything else before we call it a wrap?
We sure do. We got Billy Rios is going to be featured.
Really, the kid Rios?
At the
Tell me
Sands.
about that, man.
Well, it's a post that Fred Gordy put up, and it says, my friend and mentor Billy Rios will be the instructor for the upcoming SANS Institute ICS SCADA Security Essentials in Atlanta, September 28th through October 2nd. Billy's not only an expert on the subject, but is a highly engaging and thought-provoking person. His instructional delivery method conveys information that can be easily understood and very comprehensive, but it's not about the BAS, but it does cover topics that are an important part of the security world and has very important parallels to our type of integration. So it's great. And where's it again? Atlanta. What's going on with Atlanta?
Man, it's Cyber Valley, baby. Cyber Valley. So Billy the Kid Rios, man, I hear that he can hack into a Jace blindfolded with both hands behind his back in 5 minutes or less, just using his nose, or maybe Siri or something like that. Fred told me some stories about that. So that's part of probably we'll hopefully get Billy to do that at the Cyber Summit that's going to be in Atlanta, that Fred's hosting, as along with Mark Peacock and us in March. So yeah, he's a cool dude, man. He is a real cool dude.
Eric, that was our last post.
All right.
Summer's shooting by like a meteorite. It's already August. School started already in many places here in the Western Pennsylvania area, and it's hard to believe that it's August 23rd. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man, it goes by fast, man. And nobody got the answer right for what birthday you and I'll be celebrating in 2016. So that prize is still out there. If you think you know, Kenny and I are both turning a certain age, and whoever guesses that correctly in comments is going to win 2 tickets to the 2015 Control Trends Awards. And my only hint to you is guess less, not more. But all right, Big Dog. Hey, with that, I think we wrap up another week on Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending September 23rd, 2015. Special thanks to all our sponsors, and this week in particular, KMC. Be sure to check that video out. And with that, Kenny Smilers. I'd like to thank our community for tuning in and say, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smilers.
All righty.
Awesome, man.